Hello guys, it's Tom here from the WB Trading team, and on today's video I want to talk about journaling, and specifically 5 ways that you can create the perfect trading journal. Now this is going to be important for traders that have just started out and maybe you haven't even got a journal, and also for traders that are journaling. You may be finding that it's not really that useful for you. You may be wondering, why am I doing this? Why do I bother journaling? This video is going to give you those answers. We're going to jump in, we're going to look through these 5 ways. I'm going to talk through the elements that you can do to change your journal or to create the perfect journal. And hopefully by the end of it, you'll understand where you need to go with your journal and how much it's really going to improve your trading. So yeah guys, let's just get started. Just very quickly before we dive in, if you're still struggling with your trading or you'd like to know more about how mechanical edges are traded, I've put together a free video course for you that'll map out and explain everything in detail, along with walking you through exactly how the mechanical rules actually work. If you'd like to watch that after this video, I'll pop a link in the description. You can click through and you can watch that straight away. So the first part of creating the perfect journal is to record the correct information. Let's have a look at what I mean by that. So on the screen right now are some basic aspects of what every journal should contain. We'll look through a complete journal in a second, but the key areas to focus on: entry information to start with. So things like date and time when you place the trade. It's going to really help you when we come on to one of our later tips to look back and review trades. We also need the market that we're using if we're basically trading a strategy that's using multiple markets. Trade direction, so we're going long or short, we're buying or selling, and entry, stop, and profit information. So for quite a few of you, that'll probably be quite simple, but things like including the date and time, I see that fairly regularly that traders do miss on their journals. The next part is correct risk management. So always good to have your potential winning R value, especially if you've got a strategy like ours that have a minimum winning R that we need to make sure that we're hitting, and monetary risk. So whatever that 1% value is divided by your distance to working out your lot size or your price per point system. That's really going to help you when you're actually coming to place the trade. So using your journal as a guide to place the trade. As with entry info, key exit information is vital. Trading close date and time, same as trading entry, vital to have those things in there so we can go back and review. Self-explanatory, profit and loss should be on every journal just to understand that. Winning and losing R as well, keeping a tally of that. And to work out whatever the trade result was, whether it was a win or a loss, what's the impact on your overall account size? So then you can work out that new fluctuating 1% for your next trade. Finally, something that a lot of traders miss on their journal, your observations. Write down a couple of columns, however you're going to basically set up your journal, your thoughts when you place the trade, and your thoughts after the trade was completed. And these can include things like, did you make any mistakes? Was the trade part of your strategy? Did you jump in with too high a percentage risk? Did you miss the entry for the trade? All those things are going to help, certainly when we come on to another tip a little later on. So that's really the essence of what that journal should contain. So here we'll have a look at basically what my kind of complete journal looks like, just structured out like this. Formatting wise, you don't have to follow this at all. I think it's quite useful, but you can see basically a snapshot of the information that I would fill in for every trade. The second thing we need to focus on is completing our journal on time. Again, this might sound simple, it might sound obvious to some of you, but I see it so many times from traders who skip days where they don't bother filling in their journal. They try and catch up at the weekend when they can't remember their trades. Absolutely vital that you do it within a reasonable time frame. We should really be doing it ideally as you're placing a trade. Get that entry information in as you're looking for the setup. Really key to do that. Again, it's things like measuring your price per point, your risk management, measuring that minimum R, all key things to do. And if you get into that habit, it's going to really help. In terms of filling out exit information, appreciate, if you're running a set and forget mechanical strategy like we are, you're not going to be able to fill it in necessarily at the end of every trade. It might not be there at the screen for the end of every trade. Get it done the same day though. Find some time at the end of the day to fill out any missing aspects of that journal for the trades that you've placed on that day. It's just really going to help. Overall, The trades will be fresh in your mind. When you fill out the notes, it's going to help loads. It's just something that I think traders need to get into the habit of. And like I said, it's one thing that I see traders miss quite regularly. They try and play catch up. They try and do it at the weekend. They can't remember the trades that they've placed. And yeah, it just gets into a slippery slope of leaving it longer and longer before you fill it in. And it becomes less and less useful as a document as a result of that. The third tip is to regularly review your journal. So this is something that maybe few of you are doing, and it's certainly something that I don't see as many traders do. The first two tips I think were quite simple things to implement, and this requires a little bit more effort, but it's going to really change your trading. When you're a trader and you're filling out a journal, you've got to understand, what are you filling it out for? Filling it out just for the sake of it, or are you really going to use that information? And this is where reviewing your journal comes into play. Time and time again, I see traders fill it out, but they never look back at the results. They never look back at how they can improve, how they can use their journal effectively. And this is really where a review of your journal every month or every 3 months kind of comes into play. Now, I say that time frame because if you've got a strategy, maybe that you're trading a couple of times a day, I think it's good to review your journal every month. If it's a longer term strategy, every quarter, every 3 months is probably better. The things we should be looking for, are you making any mistakes? Look through, do a detailed review. Have you made any mistakes in your journal, in the information you filled out? Basically, have you made any mistakes in your trading as well? Where can you improve? Highlight a couple of areas to focus on in between this and the next time that you review your journal to see, can I make any significant improvements? And will I see the results the next time I come to review? And long-term progress as well. We should be looking at this as a long-term project as a trader, and therefore looking at long-term progress, reviewing performance between between review entries. That's going to be the key area to focus on. As I said, if you're taking the time to actually fill out the journal and keeping that structure, filling it out every day, it's certainly worth taking advantage of all the information you've gathered and doing that detailed review every so often. The next thing we come to, it might sound a bit strange, but keeping separate journals for each strategy. Now, this is only going to apply obviously to traders that are trading multiple strategies, but if you are, it's really, really crucial that you keep a separate journal for each one. So when I've seen traders in the past just keep one massive journal for all of their strategies, they run into a few issues there. Long-term profitability of each strategy is difficult to distinguish. You basically just got one total R, one profit and loss. Therefore, your percentage risk on some strategies will be affected by the results of others. It just gets into a bit of a mess. And trying to unpick that when you've only got one journal, it can be really tricky. Another thing is, you can set up your journal with some specific columns, some specific headings, depending on the strategy. And if you've just got one generic journal for everything, it's not going to really help matters there. So for all those reasons, it might sound tedious, it might sound a real pain to have, multiple spreadsheets or multiple notebooks or however you want to journal. In the long run, it's going to help. Keep them separate, keep recording your results in separate documents, in separate spreadsheets. It's really going to help with that analysis, and coming back to when we mentioned the reviews, it's really going to help you see the progress and see the improvement areas on each individual strategy, independent of all the others. The final tip, and probably the most important one, don't be afraid to change things in your journal. No, everybody's going to start out with maybe a basic spreadsheet or just a notebook, and you might be thinking, okay, that's fine, I've got everything I need. In reality, there are always going to be things that we can add, always going to be things that we can change and improve. And I look back at my journals and how they've evolved over time, maybe from just a couple of columns of data to all sorts. Sometimes I look at them and think, actually, I probably need to refine this and remove some columns, get it to a stage where the data I'm collecting, I'm really using. I'm not just collecting stuff for the sake of it, but also to add in things like charts, track the progress, track the comparisons between, entries at different times of the day on different markets, all these things that I can really focus in on when I'm doing my reviews. And without looking at changing my journal and adding and removing these elements, it's not going to be as refined as it could be. And this goes a little further. I speak to traders who like to print out their charts, like to annotate things, like to review those elements to say, that's really going to help me. So if you've got a basic journal template and you're following the first 4 steps that we've gone through here, absolutely excellent. You're really on the right track there, but don't be afraid to say, okay, I need to mix things up a little bit. I might need to add in this, see if this helps in my journal. Just try it, just experiment. If you think it's going to be useful, it's absolutely worth putting in there. So that's everything for today's video. I'm really hoping that's helped. You know, if you're just starting out with your trading and you're looking to set up a journal, you're following these steps, it's going to save you a lot of problems. It's going to really advance your trading. And even if you are a trader that's been trading for a while, maybe you've got a basic journal and you're thinking, is there any point in keeping this? What am I really doing with it? Put some of these things into practice and you'll see a definite improvement in results. As always, guys, you know, any questions or any comments and suggestions for future topics you'd like to see us cover, just drop them below. And as always, you know, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.